just this morning, the CDC announced for the first time ever, 100,000 Americans have died of drug overdoses in 1 year, fueled by fentanyl.
Here in California, the number of people who have died from that dangerous opioid has jumped by more than 2,100% in 5 years. Orange County District Attorney Todd Spitzer has vowed to prosecute anyone involved in a fentanyl-related death. He joins us live this morning. Good morning to you. Thanks for being with us.
Of course. Good morning.
Startling statistics there that we just mentioned. From your perspective as a prosecutor, why do you think fentanyl use is becoming more popular? And when we talk about the potency, how potent is it?
So let me start with this. Here's a penny. Here's a Lincoln penny. And the amount of fentanyl that will kill you is the amount of fentanyl that would cover Abe Lincoln's nose. So it's about 3 speckles. And I don't think it's more popular. It's being used by drug dealers, manufacturers, and distributors through Mexico and China because it's cheap, because the quantities to import them unsuspecting, either in cars or ships or whatever, it can be smuggled in very small quantities, yet it's very, very potent. So the fact of the matter is the reason people are overdosing is not because they're taking it knowingly, they're taking it unwittingly because they're buying on the street through social media, like a Percocet or a Xanax or something that they are using illicit drugs, but they think they're taking that drug that will not kill them. And instead it is entirely made up of or laced with fentanyl, and they end up dead.
So you have this new policy that holds those drug dealers criminally accountable for these deadly fentanyl cases. How does it work? And to those who might say, look, this is just a scare tactic, are there similar policies that are actually working elsewhere?
So we do this already in the driving under the influence. When somebody gets caught driving under the influence at the time that they're convicted or at the time of their arrest, they're admonished that drinking and driving in the future, if you kill somebody, you could be charged with murder. We prosecute people every single day across the United States for killing people under the influence of alcohol once somebody's been told that drinking and driving can kill. I have to prove that in a court of law with admissible evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm taking that same practice and I'm warning drug dealers, if you get caught with drugs and we can prove that you either sold those drugs or you possess them with the intent to sell, if you get caught in the future and after that admonishment, I'm going to put that into evidence in front of a jury and they're going to know that you had those drugs before and that you were warned that if you distribute those drugs and somebody dies, you could be charged with murder. Is it a scare tactic? I sure hope so. That's the point. I mean, the reason we have prosecutions is to go after the bad people and to keep people who might be thinking of engaging in bad behavior from even doing it in the first place. So it absolutely is both utilized to go after drug dealers and to scare the heck out of drug dealers and manufacturers because thousands of people are dying. It's not an overdose. Let's make something clear. People are not ODing on purpose. They don't know what they're taking. That is a poisoning, and they can be charged with murder.
You mentioned, how it's coming into the country. There's all different ways it's being brought in. Such a small amount can be so deadly. So what else is being done to keep fentanyl and other types of opioids off the streets? And I'm sure parents are listening to this morning. Very scary to think about, like you said, not an overdose, but someone taking something not knowing that could kill them. So what can you tell people just to look out for?
Well, first of all, it's an excellent point. Thank you for that. Parents need to talk to their kids, okay, especially their college kids experimenting with drugs. We had a 14-year-old middle school die. He got drugs illicitly, experimenting, and he died, lived in Rancho Santa Margarita. I mean, these are tragic. College kids are doing this every single day. We had 5 overdoses last week in Westminster in a park. People were using drugs. They're all in the hospital. And these are the kinds of tragedies we're facing. So education and outreach is obviously critical. The DEA, I held a press conference last week with the Drug Enforcement Agency, and they're trying to interdict this and intercept it along our borders, and that's their job. I don't have anything to do with that. But the fact of the matter is, once I catch a street dealer, I'm going to prosecute them for murder if they're distributing drugs and killing people. I'm not going to allow drug dealers to get away with murder.
Well, it's another tool that law enforcement is using now. District Attorney Spitzer, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
You're very welcome. Thanks for getting the word out.
Absolutely. Thank you.